Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to the April 7th, 2009 Board of Selectmen Sewer Commissioners meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Chairman, all 5 selectmen are present, as well as the interim town administrator, Mrs. Sanchinet.
Okay, first on the agenda we have citizens' participation. Was there anyone that came to address the board tonight? See, okay, 2, 3 people, all right.
I just need the board's indulgence for a minute. Last week,
Please introduce yourself.
Alan Slavin, 36 Oak Street. I spoke actually as part of the planning board as well, so I'm asking for a little favor here. When I spoke last week, I said the planning board did not vote on 361 Main Street. Turns out that all the planning board had to do was just make a recommendation. I was under the impression that they would have to come back and we would have to actually vote on some things we talked about. So therefore, I misspoke, and I need to apologize because basically that whole thing got blown up a little bit at the meeting, and not only did the planning board and the chairman took some heat, also the Board of Selectmen, basically got upset about it, and also 361 Main Street. I basically misspoke, and I need to apologize. I misunderstood the procedure, and I'm embarrassed by it.
All right.
And I basically will try not to do that again, but I was wrong.
Well, there's a little jar over there. You got to leave $5.
How much do I have to put down there?
Wow, it's gone up. I thought it was 50 cents.
No, after me, it was $5.
Okay, but I just thought I needed to come before the board and publicly say that I apologize. I was wrong.
Well, thank
I
you, Mr.
appreciate
Slavin.
that.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay,
Nice when people do that, so
Next.
we appreciate it.
if you could introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name is Christine Kasevich, and I live in Wareham. And I'll just take a second. I watch every week the show. I know I should be here, but we watch
The show, I
We-
like that. I like that.
We watch it on telly. I'm concerned for the safety of the board, particularly since last week and the incident that took place here. We weren't privy to what was going on, but I've been told several times what happened. I'm suggesting to the board, for the safety of you and for the audience, that there be a police officer stationed from the time that the meeting opens until it closes, with his car parked right outside the door, so that whenever anybody comes in, there's a police officer's car there, and they know that there's a policeman in the location. With what's been happening lately, as we all know, people in this economy are getting more angry, more hot under the collar, if you want to put it that way. And I just feel that you're all very vulnerable sitting here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
That's something that the board can discuss. I know that some other communities do have police officers. I guess it depends on the availability and if there's a cost associated with it. And certainly, you can see it both ways, why it would be important or not. Fortunately, I think in this last year, as chairman, we've had some pretty interesting meetings at times, but ultimately the gavel has been good enough in those occasions. But yeah, you're right. At any time, someone can be more of a pest.
It was interesting last week, the gavel wasn't used. I noticed that. I don't know whether I thought that maybe you, Mr. Chairman, was in shock of whatever was going to happen, because apparently it took 8 to 7 minutes for him to rumble around in his bag. And people in the audience were thinking, what's going on? What's he pulling out? What's happening?
Yeah.
He happened to pull a camera out, I'm
Right.
told. But the gavel wasn't used. And I also thought, if they were to take a policeman off of the 4 to 12 shift, who would be out on the streets anyway, and for 3 or 4 hours while the meeting's going on, pull him off the streets and park him outside and have sergeant of arms at the door. And then once the meeting's over, he gets back in his car and he goes out on his duty again. So hopefully there wouldn't be any cost.
I don't know. you know, it would have to be something that the board decides with the town administration and I guess the police if they're the ones that are involved.
So will the board take this into consideration sooner than later? Please.
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, if I could, my personal opinion is that, and thank you very much for your concern, it's greatly appreciated, but that guy is nobody to be afraid of, first of all. Secondly, I don't see any way that there can't be a cost associated with having a police officer. There is one in this district, and they're as close as 911. So, you know, it's not this room that I think we have to worry necessarily, maybe after we leave, but that's a totally different matter. I think that this individual enjoys pushing some buttons and enjoys the attention. So I thought the chair handled it very well and appropriately. He simply ignored the guy, and we went on with our business. And but your concern is greatly appreciated. I can say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly,
Good evening, Donna Barrows from Onset. I just wanted to take a minute to thank Mr. Chair for giving all his time to us in his reign, and you'll be missed.
thank you.
Here, here.
Thanks, Donna.
All right. Did I see the town moderator walk in? Or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. We'll hold off on that. He just has about 5 minutes. Were there any announcements? Did anyone have any announcements? We didn't have any
No,
in the, okay.
I didn't see a folder.
People still have 50 minutes to vote if they haven't. The consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, no bills to pay tonight. We just have one set of minutes, and that was a regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen Sewer Commissioners was held March the 24th, 2009. 4 selectmen were present. Mrs. Donahue was not with us that evening. The interim town administrator, Mrs. Sanjanet, was, and I would move approval of these minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
401.
That completes the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's all we have. We have an application, licenses and permits. We have an application for a common victuals license by J. David Norse. DBA A Sure Thing, 197 Onset Ave, Onset, under the provisions of Chapter 140, the Mass General Laws. If you would please come forward. All right. And this is, what, the former Dunkin' Donuts
Yes.
in Onset?
Yep.
Oh, good. Very good.
Okay.
Cute name.
It is cute.
Did you want to maybe introduce yourself and talk
Yep.
a little bit about
David Norse. I've been in Onset for the last 5 years. Actually, I've been in the Plymouth area for the last 20 years. I grew up in Duxbury, and I moved to Onset, 59 South Boulevard, and I've been a big Onset pusher for a long time. I decided when the rent sign went up, I wanted to rent it, and I rented a house on South Boulevard, and rent sign went up there, and I hope no more rent signs go up because
there's a lot of rent signs
I know.
out there.
But when it went up in December, I was kind of shocked that Dunkin' Donuts didn't